really affected us. I mean, so much, because we have students that have traveled all the way across the eastern regions in Ghana.
We'll be live on the various campuses and get reaction from the Education Ministry. Parliamentary seats could hit 300 as consideration for creation of additional constituencies gets attention.
They want to add some CEOs, some say they are adding 25. If that is true, what it will mean is that we are putting the cart before the horse to justify for a new chamber by simply adding the numbers. Say, members are standing, we don't have a place, so we need to build a new chamber. And in my humble opinion, this will not be fair to Ghanaians.
Tonight, the Minority Chief Whip is advocating a downsizing of the current 275 constituencies. We'll hear his justification.
Strict criteria, for example, say minimum education, you need to have a degree, you need to have a working experience of no less than 15 years, so that it will restrict the political parties, the caliber of persons that they can do. So these people becomes the technical component.
National Identification Authority explains why you're yet to receive your Ghana card, although your details have been captured.
We set up card issuance centers across the region. The cards are with them. Some of them are keeping the cards on them, calling the applicants, getting them to pay money by mobile money to them, all kinds of corrupt conduct.
We've got details as long queues form at the Ghana card registration centers in the Ashanti region, forcing a 1-week extension.
And in business, the country's donors still concerned about government's commitment to fiscal discipline in an election year.
And later in sports, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation GBC expresses disappointment with the GFA's decision to award StarTime's TV rights of the Ghana Premier League and the FA Cup. Also, there will be updates from the ongoing Gusa Games.
And we have Tech Thursday as well, and Chairman of Pentecost Church calls for an immediate end to election prophecies, arguing such practice creates confusion.
This is mediocre, causes more confusion than good. I think that we should put an end to it.
That's all coming up here in this package. NewsNite is brought to you by Puma Card from Puma Energy. Cash-free convenience. Please join me with your thoughts and comments. It's now WhatsApp 0244-340-437. I am Emefa Apawu. Details shortly. And the first semester exams on 8 technical universities across the country have been put on hold following a nationwide strike by the Technical University Teachers Association of Ghana and senior administrators over unpaid allowances. Chairman of the local chapter of TUSAG at the Kumasi Technical University, Isaac Owusu Ansa, explains the decision to go on strike again.
I'll say that the issues for which TUSAG our strike is similar to ours. We were migrated as technical universities in 2015, and we expected that once we are also a public university, we paid the allowances that are due universities. We fought for some time, and we were told we needed to go through our documents to see whether we had the qualifications to hold ourselves like our colleagues in the university. So they did an audit for all senior members of the technical universities. After the report came, and some of us were.
Now, the action has begun biting as scores of students across various university campuses have been left stranded. At the Kumasi Technical University, for instance, students say they have fears the strike will affect the academic calendar.
Students who are doing the accounting and computing, they were supposed to have their exams today, but due to the strike, it have to be shifted to further notice. So we don't know when exactly the regular students are going to start their exams.
So but you have exams?
Mine was supposed to be on the 13th. That will be next week. That will be writing my first paper. But due to that, the examination has been cancelled. So we are all waiting till what unfolds after the meeting that they're going to have.
Do you have information from authorities as to where your fate hangs?
Currently, we are just confused. We don't know what to do. We are just walking around and group discussions and personal studies. And some of the guys who came back after the Christmas break, they have to go back. Some decided to, because till further notice. Some also are from far. I know a friend who is from Wa, and she decided to stay for the Christmas break so that she can stay and write the exams. And now, due to the strike, that has been repeated, so she has to like leave. She's leaving actually today to WA.
Well, per the academic calendar of Kumasi Technical University, we were supposed to have our exams come 14th. You see, we were supposed to even have it before the Xmas break, but we couldn't have it because of the first strike of our tutors here. So it was the student crying to the SRC that we should apologize, so we should talk to the management for them to also help us with the 3 weeks that strike. The 3-week strike that our lecturers went on. So we went and plead on behalf of the students, and then the management also agreed that we should be able to catch up, especially we, the weekenders, and that of the evening student. So here we have the 3 sections. We have the regular, we have the evening, we have the weekenders. So the lecturers who always want us to catch up with the regular student, they are the mainstream student, and this strike action came up. So it has really affected us academically. It has really affected us so much, because we have students that have traveled all the way across the system regions in Ghana.
You heard that some student that Love FM's Erastus Asari Donko has been monitoring the situation there at the Kumasi Technical University. He joins us on the line. Erastus, now give us a sense of what you witnessed when you went to campus today.
So it was an almost deserted campus. You could see pockets of students, some doing group discussions on the balcony. But then at their hall, there were quite a number of young people packed in there with somebody addressing them. I learned that they were national service personnel who were now being charged to take over some sectors of the administrative machinery of the university. Aside that, the whole place looks very solemn with few administrative staff working up there.
Now, in your interaction with some of these students as you met them on campus, are they hopeful that this will be over soon? Do they even understand what is going on?
They don't, and like you heard the students say, they are confused. They do not know when exactly things will get back to normal, because they were supposed to complete the first semester before the Christmas break and then start the second semester this time around. But then they have the first semester hanging loose on them, and they have the second semester, also adding up to it. So they do not know when they are going to conduct even the first semester exams and then be able to even start the second semester and continue with a normal academic calendar.
So they've not been successful in getting any answers from their leadership or their lecturers alike?
Well, some of them were saying that they've been told that the weekend students will be writing their first semester exams on the 18th. Mm-hmm. That's what they've been told by administration. But even that, they are not sure whether it's going to come off.
Well, that's my colleague Erastus Asari Donko gauging the mood at the Kumasi Technical University. Let's head to Sunyani now, because their correspondent Precious Semevo has been monitoring the situation at Sunyani Technical University. So, Precious, what did you find?
Well, Emefa, the situation is not different here in Sunyani, just like all the other campuses across the country. In a brief chat with the public relations officer of the Sunyani Technical University, Kobnatre Dixon. Now, he confirmed to me that senior administrative officers have also joined the action, and to the extent that the examination, which was scheduled originally for the 13th of January, has been postponed indefinitely. And what that means is that it is affecting almost everything on campus, particularly the students who were hoping to start their exams on Monday and then finish and then look ahead into the future. But as it stands now, some of them are already contemplating as to whether to go back home or hang around with a hope and anticipate that the situation will be resolved as quickly as possible.
They must be frustrated then.
Obviously, they are frustrated, particularly coming from on the heels of what happened just last month. They were hoping that starting a new year would have meant that the academic calendar would have been respected and it would have run smoothly. But as it stands now, just a week, barely a week into the new year, the strike action is already in full force, and their exams, some of them have been preparing feverishly. Some of them even say that the Christmas was not a Christmas that they could celebrate because their focus was on preparing for the exams on the 13th. But as it stands now, all has been thrown away.
Thank you, Precious. That's correspondent Precious Semevo monitoring the situation at the Sunyani Technical University here in Accra. The Student Representative Council of the Accra Technical University are warning they will hit the streets if the current impasse between TUSAG and government is not resolved. The students claim the industrial action is adversely affecting them. PSA Nanaya Osafo has more in the following report.
It might sound like a classroom or busy lecture hall, but the scholars are busy under a shed as all study rooms have been locked up. It is day 4 of an indefinite strike declared by TUTAG this week. The Senior Staff Association declared the strike of their own too. For the students, the protest is gradually crippling academic work.
I'm not on campus, I'm outside the campus, so therefore I have to take car in and out, wasting my transport and all those things. We really need the government to adhere to what they are looking for and just help us do it. But if we don't write the examination now, I don't know when we are going to write it again.
Classes are closed, so we don't have anywhere to learn aside from this place, and we are not comfortable with it. They said they will not be teaching, and there will not be a vigilation, meaning definitely no exam and no marking of scripts.
We're having a paper today. We are here and then we are stranded. We came and then there's nothing, you can't even see the lectures around.
This will be the second time in a row students will be denied end of semester examinations, as the previous one, scheduled for December 2019, was postponed to this week. TUTAG chairman for the Accra Technical University, Dr. Ibrahim Subeiru, who spoke to Joy News, said the situation was avoidable.
This strike was avoidable. Why won't you pay based upon the data that is available and then write to request for data appropriately and then do it and make plus and minuses? Because it happens a lot all the time. Somebody is overpaid, they do RetroNet and then correct it. What we are saying is that government must pay. The instructions that come from Minister of Finance to Controller, nobody should be impediment in the way of Controller in the payment.
SRC President of Accra Technical University, Safo Kwesi Kantanka, warned of a massive student demonstration dubbed Operation Desert Storm if the matter is not resolved within the shortest time.
We have plans that if the government fails to intervene and then other internal factors that management are trying to do also bears no fruit, SRC in collaboration with our mother university Jinut, we are planning alongside that what we did last year in terms of the intrinsic or the internal demonstration. This time around we will be doing an external one, a massive one, and then it will be called Operation Desert Storm.
It remains to be seen how the impasse is to be resolved within the coming days.
Now let's go on the phone lines now and speak to local chairman of TUSAG at the Kumasi Technical University, Isaac Owuswansa. We are grateful for your time here on NewsNite. So we've been to your campus, we witnessed the situation. The students are actually frustrated. But yesterday we spoke to the NCTE executive director, and he indicates that it looks like you brought the situation upon yourself. All you have to do is to submit proper data on those who deserve to be paid these allowances. That is not in question. They say that yes, they owe you allowances, but provide proper data for that to be done. You have not done that, and now students have to pay or bear the brunt of your action.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Hello?
I can hear you, Mr. Owuswansa.
Yes. You see, the issue that we're discussing is pretty straightforward. Let me say that last month, November, and even in December, people were paid responsibility allowance. All the allowances that they are talking about, this is not the first time we are paying. People were paid last month. Is it a case that the money has increased and therefore other people should be denied? All the inputs that they are looking for is already with Controller and Accountant General Department. Nobody has written to us to tell us because of A and B, these category of people should not be paid. We submitted the data to them, and then they paid who they wanted to pay. So it is not like we have not submitted any input. We have submitted input for headships, and they have paid some people, and others have been taken out. And as we speak, there hasn't been any communication to us as to why the assistant registrars, the accountants, and the analogous positions were denied the responsibility allowance. That is the issue. It's not that we have not submitted. We have submitted the input.
So what the NCT tells us is that you may have submitted some inputs to the Controller and Accountant General, but they're saying that it's full of inaccuracies and that they've asked you to submit the proper data. You're saying that has been done.
Inaccuracies? Why? How?
On who deserves to be paid these allowances, he says.
I just asked you that if somebody was paid the same allowance in November and is being denied now, what is the reason for denying the person? Is it a case that the amount we are paying is more and therefore some people shouldn't be paid? Or it is the case that it is provided in the document that this caliber of people shouldn't be paid? As far as we are concerned, we only sent the inputs to help them, but we knew Controller had all the inputs already. And we know that these people are supposed to be paid. They are saying they are not supposed to be paid. But nobody has told us why the people have not been paid.
Well, the education ministry has also been speaking about this. They say you are not cooperating. Let's first listen to Vincent Asifua.
There have been lack of cooperation on the part of TUTAC and TUSAC. And I'll tell you why. There was a National Labour Commission ruling, and that ruling indicated that government is supposed to be paying, or government by 19th of December must have been able to pay all these teachers who are owed. Now, I always ask the question, and I don't think that you will not agree with me on that. Which state institution will pay in a vacuum?
This afternoon, they said, especially that Accra Technical University, Dr. Zubairu said that all the documents that the NTC asked for, they provided all of those documents.
They only provided for officers who were holding or who are holding positions in the various technical universities. For other staff, they failed to do it.
So at least, have you paid the officers, the ones whose documents you've paid?
Yes, it is left with the other officers, or let me say the other staff, which they are supposed to be providing the additional data to the National Commission for Tertiary Education. But from what I'm hearing, the TUTAC and TUSAC feels that the National Commission for Tertiary Education shouldn't come in at this level. They feel that the ruling should just be adhered to and payment should just be done. But payment will have to be done whereby NCT is having a statutory obligation to ensure that the data that is provided by the teachers are vetted, they are audited, they are validated, so that we know that the right amounts are paid. Government cannot overpay or underpay people that who are supposed to be paid as far as these arrears and allowances are concerned.
So, Mr. Samoa, you've heard Mr. Asifua accurate claim?
Yes, I heard him. We are not saying the NCT shouldn't do their job. We have submitted the input. And I'm telling you that though we know that Controller has all these inputs already, we still submitted. And they decided to pay a category of people. They paid from senior assistant registrar upwards. That is for the administrators. No reason has been given why assistant registrars, accountants, and their analogous positions have not been paid. Nobody has told us that.
So you heard him say that is because you have not provided data for that, and that's the same claim that the NCTE is also making.
Emefa, I'm just asking you that on what basis were our people paid in November, and what has changed since then? If they can tell us that, our people who have been denied this time were paid in November. The November pay slip, they were paid responsibility allowance, they were paid forward allowance, they were paid off-campus allowance based on the fact that they were holding positions.
So you will not provide any data, even though that is what is holding up the payment?
I have not said that.
I'm asking.
Yesterday we submitted data on rent and off-campus.
Okay.
But the point is, these allowances did not just come. These allowances have always been with us. We have enjoyed these allowances as a polytechnic. And since we've been converted from 2016, we've been enjoyed it. And in November, we enjoyed these allowances. And these same people who enjoy the allowances have been denied this time. And we want to find out why have they been denied? Why is an assistant registrar not entitled to responsibility allowance? Why is that same person entitled to off-campus? That is our point. We know other people have been paid fine from senior level, but we are saying that they were not the only people enjoying those allowances. Those who have been denied, we want explanation as to why they are not being paid this time.
Okay. Mr. Isaac Owusu, we'll leave it here. We are grateful. That's the local chairman of TUSAC at the Kumasi Technical University. Let's bring in the NLC Executive Secretary, Mr. Ofosu Asamoah. We're grateful for your time here on NewsNite. So there was a ruling that payment should be made by the 19th of December. I'm sure following the strike, you've been finding out why we are back to square one. What did you find?
Yes, we are sure to find that tomorrow, and we solve it tomorrow. I don't think the strike should go beyond tomorrow.
So that's an assurance you're giving that once you meet all sides tomorrow, the strike will be over.
I'm sure the strike should be over. Because we are yesterday, we left late in the night. We have been, the commission has been reviewing their decision and directives and so on. And I think it should be over by tomorrow.
But as part of your ruling, though, was the basis for them to TUSAC, TUTAG, and the other parties, were they supposed to provide some form of data? Because that's the basis on which they're told that these allowances have not been paid.
There was a request for data, and I think they say the government has the data already. So that is where that is. So that is the cause of the. But in any case, I think tomorrow it will end. Trust me.
That's great assurance from you. We are grateful. That's the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Mr. Ofosu Asamoah. Definitely tomorrow will surely come, and then we'll follow up on it. We're hopeful that that will end. I'm sure students will be excited about this. What's your thought also? You can join us via WhatsApp is 0244340437. Now, 25 more constituencies could be created this year to bring the number of parliamentary seats in the country to 300. The decision may be based on the outcome of the National Population Census expected to be conducted this year. Now, if the proposed creation goes through, it will resurrect the debate for a new parliamentary chamber because the existing lacks space to accommodate the new seats. The Minority Chief Whip in Parliament, Mohammed Mutaka Mubarak, tells Joy News is kicking against the proposed new seats and rather advocating for special seats reserved for technocrats and minority groups. Listen.
Many of our MPs are not doing the work that they are elected to do. Sometimes you have people just walk in and walk out. Sometimes people don't pay attention to the details when it comes, simply because their attention is somewhere. If I had my way, I would have said that let's reduce the constituency to 200. And then the 75, we'll leave it for the political parties based on the results that we get from the election. And then have a strict criteria. So, for example, say minimum education, you need to have a degree, you need to have a working experience of no less than 15 years, you need to have that, you need to have that. So that it will restrict the political parties, the caliber of persons that they can do. So that these people becomes the technical component. Or better still, use it for the affirmative action. In Uganda, you have seats for women, seats for the youth, physically challenged, the military, and other relevant minority groups. Because, I mean, those minority groups naturally may not be able to win a seat. When we do that, I want to believe that it may help our democracy. Now, I'm hearing, oh, they want to add some CEOs. Some say they are adding 25. If that is true, what it will mean is that we are putting the cart before the horse to justify for a new chamber by simply adding the numbers. Members are standing, we don't have a, so we need to build a new chamber. And in my humble opinion, this will not be fair to Ghanaians. Sometimes you know definitely this person has traveled. So who signed for him? And sometimes people hire some of the staff to do those things for themselves, which is terrible. And the only way to end those things is to have a biometric system where you clock in with only your thumb print. May God forbid, if I ask someone to do it, the person will not be able to do it because my thumb needs to be there.
So this means that some of our MPs, if I should say, are perpetrating some sort of crime.
Well, I will not want that to come from my mouth because I don't have any evidence to say that Honorable X sign on behalf of Honorable Y. Oh, maybe, let's say, is it out of enthusiasm that when I'm not there, Honorable X, out of enthusiasm, will just sign for me without even me telling him to do? Maybe we need to revise our standard orders. Because you see, the way the standard orders is couched, the person gets absent. When it's just about getting to the time that the person will have to go through some punishment, the person shows his face 2-3 days, then the person goes back to the absenteeism. So the person breaks the data chain. Secondly, people get there. They come and sit in the chamber for 10 minutes and walk out. So long as you have this we against them, it clouds the reasoning of many MPs, which is not really very good. Because things come, people don't even read it. And because it's coming from the government, you are on government side, you must support it. And sometimes, I must also admit, the minority wants to oppose everything. How can we strike a balance about this? I don't have the answer, but I think that it is something that is worrying, and it is my view that if we don't find an antidote to, because sitting in that house for over a decade, I'm seeing it getting worse by day. And my fear is that if it continues the way it is deteriorating, very, very soon, I'm saying that in the next 10 years, if it continues, Parliament may become the weakest link in our democracy, and that will be the biggest threat to our democracy.
Interesting suggestions there from the Minority Chief Whip, Mutaka Mubarak. And is 270 or 275 seats adequate, or there is the need for more? Let's speak to Executive Director, African Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Draman. We're grateful for your time here on NewsNite, Dr. Draman. So first, a population census will be conducted this year. Will you be surprised if the result ends in the creation of new constituencies?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, because we have seen this before, even without any census. We have seen over the years governments come, and then by the time they leave, we see them leave behind an increase in the number of constituencies. And now we are going into a census, and I'm sure what the census is going to tell us is that our population has increased. And with that increase, there might be some political justification to increase the number of constituencies. I mean, if this is what the current thinking is.
So it's likely that we may go to about 300 seats in Parliament. But listening to the Minority Chief Whip, qualification for a member of Parliament is clear in the Constitution. Yet he is advocating for special seats for technocrats and minority groups. Wouldn't that be in conflict with the Constitution?
Well, perhaps if that is the way we want to go as a country, we might also have to look at maybe reviewing the Constitution. I mean, this is not strange. This is not new. If you go to most of the countries in East Africa, they have seats specially reserved mostly for women. And in Uganda, for instance, they even go to the extent of having seats reserved for the youth, the military, and so on and so forth. But that is what their constitution permits. I hear the Minority Chief Whip. I mean, the suggestion is very laudable, because sometimes there are some people who have something to contribute to our democracy, but they don't have maybe what it takes to run an election and win an election and come to Parliament. And in our system, where it is, first past the post and one member, one constituency, if you want to be a member of Parliament, you have to go and contest. I mean, in the Francophone system and other countries where they practice proportional representation, simply most of the time people are put on the list by their political parties and so on. And once the party gets a certain number, then an arrangement is made in terms of who is on top of the list, and the person gets to go to Parliament. We don't have that here. Each person, man, woman, has to go and contest for the seats that are available. So if, what Honorable Mutaka is proposing is something that is widely acceptable, I think is going to inure to the benefit of the country. You are going to see a number of technocrats that might end up in Parliament, and I think that can help the business of Parliament and help the growth in our democracy.
So he has clear concerns about the kinds of persons that end up in Parliament. He's actually raising concerns that if we are not careful, Parliament will become the weakest link. But you have worked closely with them. What will be your own assessment in terms of the persons that end up in that seat, or in Parliament, for instance?
Emefa, we have our Constitution, and the Constitution says, gives the kind of criteria in terms of who can become a member of Parliament. Until we change that, I think there's not very much that can be done. We tried that during the constitutional review. I remember I was part of the discussion, and when the issue of even trying to maybe a minimum educational qualification in terms of who can contest. I think we saw a lot of pushback from members of parliament who were present at the time. This was a couple of years ago. So until we change the constitution, I guess we have to live with this for many years to come. In most countries, I have seen, for instance, in Canada, very, very recently, we were interacting with someone who has served on the Public Accounts Committee for many years, and he told, a group of MPs from, developing countries that he never really had any formal education. He was a trade unionist. When he went to Parliament, I think there were all kinds of systems in place to help him learn very fast, despite the limitations in terms of his educational qualification. In the end, I think he has become one of the best MPs and one of the best members of the Public Accounts Committee at the federal level in Canada. So the point I'm making is that sometimes educational qualification is perhaps not all that is needed. I think we need a lot of passion. We need a lot of people who are really honorable and are really interested in doing the work. And also maybe our kind of democratic system must put in place some structures to help people who come on the back of maybe not really having a very high qualification, but are really passionate about what they want to do, and they really want to help their people and want to contribute to the growth of our democracy.
Well, Dr. Draman, we are grateful for your time. That's Dr. Rashid Draman. He's Executive Director of the African Center for Parliamentary Affairs. This is NewsNite here on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll go for business shortly. When we return, I'll tell you why you are yet to receive your Ghana card, although your details have been captured.
We set up card issuance centers across the region. The cards are with them. Some of them are keeping the cards on them, calling the applicants, getting them to pay money by mobile money to them, all kinds of corrupt conduct.
Also, Chairman of the Pentecost Church calls for an immediate end to election prophecies, arguing such practice creates confusion.
This is mediocre, causes more confusion than good. I think that we should put an end to it.
Please stay for details. George has business. George, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, and what about you?
I'm blessed. What's in business?
Well, coming up in business, we'll hear from the country's donors and development partners who are still concerned about the government's commitment to fiscal discipline in an election year. And government finalized an agreement with Gridco over payment of Valco's $30 million debt. The business news on NewsNite is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
So everyone says I'm a Kosia filler, but it's not like I'm nosy or go out to find out the latest filler. It's just that I get 50 megabytes of data free after paying for only the first minute of every call. And so I just keep discovering stuff minute after minute. That's how come I was minding my business, scrolling through my timeline, and I found out Coco has a new baby. Oh, and last week I learned Ken won the lottery. You see, Ken is my brother's friend. So hello, look who's about to roll with the rich and famous.
Enjoy even more value with MTN Free After One. You only pay for the first minute of your call on MTN Free After One, and the rest is free. Plus, you enjoy free 50 megabytes worth of data to browse your favorite sites. Compare where, compare there. So dial *315# to sign up. We day for you everywhere you go. Terms and conditions apply.
Mr. Barr has big dreams for his business, Barr & Co. Limited, and his family. Making them a reality meant long drives and queues. He's lost precious time struggling to pay his suppliers in China, Turkey, India, and other parts of the world. With the First National Bank global payment via our online banking enterprise, he now pays for all that in the convenience of his home or office, giving him time to focus on family and growing his business. Use our online banking enterprise to access Forex when you need it. It takes a bank that does more to help your family. So who's helping yours? First National Bank. How can we help you?
the best, we stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Joy 99.7 FM, radio for the discerning listener.
Welcome back to Business on NewsNite. Now, there appears to be some doubts among the country's donor and development partners over government's commitment to fiscal discipline, especially in this election year. These concerns were captured in the latest IMF staff report about the country after they carried out an assessment of the health of the economy. Now, this is despite laws that government has passed to check budget overruns every year. But the IMF in the report was still worried about whether government would pass this test this year. Our Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta tells Joy Business these concerns are not well placed.
I think the government has done very well. It's been a very stable period. I think, we were quite clear about managing the macros and the fiscals through the past 3 years. And we're also very conservative in what we did for 2020. So we really don't expect anything untoward, and we will stick to our commitments to make sure that we stay within what Parliament has appropriated for us. But I think the assurance really for the market is that what we have done well in these 3 years we'll continue to do. The Fiscal Responsibility Act, which we passed, we intend to stay within that. And all of the irreversibility issues of the council, etc., are things that we intend to keep.
Do you think you need to do more to convince the market about your commitment to fiscal discipline? Because you have documented that in the budget, you put in place the policies, the council is there, but it looks like there are still some level of people still have concerns about how committed is Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta and the President to fiscal prudence, especially in an election?
I think there was a lot of skepticism when we were exiting the IMF that will we leave the floodgates open, and we proved that we wouldn't. So really, maybe it's, constructive criticism to keep us on our toes, but we are confident, and I think there's no need to worry about it.
And that's Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Now, government has finalized agreement with Gridco over the payment of the aluminium smelting firm's debt, that is the VALCO. Now, Joy Business understands the payment are expected to be done in tranches, and the first one should be made by the middle of this month. We have more on this in this report.
According to persons with knowledge of the meeting earlier, VALCO's first tranche payment is expected to be guaranteed by government. We understand that the $1 million payment should happen by the middle of this month. Joy Business is learning that all parties, which includes government, VALCO and Gridco, have agreed on a payment plan on how the $30 million debt should be paid over a period until all the debts are cleared. Officials of Gridco last year cut power supply to the power smelting firm over a $30 million debt. On dealing with the remaining, government is looking at the possibility of using the ESLA arrangement to clear the remaining 1.3 billion cedi debt. The IMF recently warned that Ghana could soon be classified as a debt-distressed country because of some challenges with rising energy sector debts and because of the rising cost of the financial sector cleanup. It also raised issues about how it is not satisfied with programs and policies in place to deal with the energy sector debts as well as reform the sector.
And that was a Business Desk report. Now, the Tourism Ministry is forecasting some exciting times for the sector in the coming years. Now, this follows some renewed commitment by government to develop the sector and the launch of the Beyond the Return initiative after a successful Year of Return program. Now, let's hear from the Minister of Tourism, Barbara Tinjesi.
Recognize that with that intervention by His Excellency the President in launching the Year of Return, calling out to people of African descent to come home to Africa, has resonated so well with the global African family. And we have had so many people visiting Africa, and we have had international media focusing on Africa. We cannot leave it at that. That's why we are going forward with a 10-year project between 2020 to 2030 with the Beyond the Return, a long-term project to actually solidify and consolidate the gains of the Year of Return and make our brothers and sisters of the diaspora know that Ghana is home.
In terms of what I asked you earlier on about the infrastructure, this is something that you also have it on the radar to ensure that these things are improved so that people can come in.
Definitely. His Excellency the President knows that as we are bringing in the numbers, we also need to address the infrastructural challenges, and therefore we are going to get the support that is required to do. Already has directed us some of the road networks to our priority tourist sites be looked at, and then we also have the World Bank projects, which has made a 40 million facility available to us to improve some of our major tourist sites. So it's an ongoing process.
Robert Tinjesi is the Minister of Tourism. Now, the Ghana Stock Exchange has given its approval over the listing of the merged 3 pharmaceutical companies, that is Danex, Iton, and Starwin. Now, they expected that this will lead these companies to list the merged entity, that is the Danex, Iton, Starwin PLC, on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Now, this will be preceded by delisting actually these individual listed companies on the market. Let's still stay on the market because Cowbank has formally notified shareholders and the investment community about the appointment of its new managing director, Philip Redu. Now, he takes over from Frankie Du Jr., who actually retired from the bank after 20 years of service. So, for the new MD of the bank, Philip Redu is now taking over as the new managing director of Cowbank to trading on the market. And Ben's oil palm plantation was up by a peso to close at 90 pesos. SIC Insurance was also up by a peso and it's now worth 9 pesos. So the other shares that are emerging, there was little change in their prices on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
Do you have your Ghana card?
Yes, I do,
Oh,
actually.
you do?
I got it within an hour, actually.
Good for you. Yeah. So there are a number of messages on our WhatsApp console, and we gave that headline as to why you still don't have your Ghana card. I'll tell you more shortly, and we'll hear from Professor Kenna Tifwa. But some of your messages that you've sent in, this one says, please, the NIA has simply failed to deliver with a huge investment, and Prof is on the defensive. The whole system is so chaotic and troubling. Go and see people sleeping at the registration centers. It's a shame. That's BB North K sends that one in. And this one also says, so why at all is the government so bent on wasting almost 500 million on a new voters register in the midst of the many problems we have? He says, hashtag drop the new register now. And this one also says, we are struggling to finish the national ID card registration. Even the limited voter registration last year was very chaotic that there were even gunshots. He says, why waste so much of our money during a new register when very soon the NIA card will be ready, also at a huge cost? Bright sends that one. This one from Esioba Yata in Kaswa says, since 2012 that we the NPP insisting on the need for a new voters register, and not because we think it will present NPP with any electoral advantage. We are doing so because we want to strengthen and deepen Ghana's democratic credentials. We have this one also from Schiffman in Atonsu. He says it's good that most political parties and majority of Ghanaians support the EC to compile a new voters register. The NDC and the allies are not serious, so Ghanaians should ignore them. And this one, Kwamina from Kotoka, says, why is the EC bent on compiling a new register if the existing one is good to conduct a referendum and the district assembly elections? Can one say it means it's an attempt to rig the upcoming election? And this one says, the brouhaha about whether to go for a new register or not. For me, the political parties are just playing with the hearts of Ghanaians for their selfish gains. Shame on them all, he says. And this one says, also, I thought there are calls for patronizing made in Ghana products. If indeed GBC has tendered in good packages than Star Times, why should the GFA choose Star Times over GBC? How many Ghanaians can afford to buy Star Times decoder and be paying the monthly subscription? Of course, Benedict will bring us details when he comes with sports. And one final one, he says, always NIA boss is talking, but he and his workers are incompetent. I did register for my card at La Paz. Up till now, I have not gotten it. From Kwame Akoto in Santa Maria, he says they have failed totally. It's a good time to hear or to tackle the issues about the NIA, since most of you are talking about it, wondering when you're going to get your card. So the Ghana card is expected to be one of the major national ID cards in the country. And over the past few months, the National Identification Authority has been pitching camp in different parts of the country, capturing the biometric details of Ghanaians. Already, many of these Ghanaians may have received their Ghana cards, but there's concern that many others are yet to get the card, although their details have been captured. Well, the NIA boss, Professor Ken Atefua, has been explaining why, and we'll bring that to you in a bit. But first, let's take you to the Ashanti region, where pressure on the registration centers has necessitated the extension of the registration deadline from January 8 to 16. My colleague Kwesi Deborah has been monitoring the situation in the Ashanti region. He joins us on the line. Kwesi, you visited a number of registration centers. What did you find?
Yeah, first of all, if I went to a JBA primary, and one officer I saw there was writing names of about 50 potential applicants, and they were in the queue. And there was the same situation I found at the Abuabo suburbs. All the centers I went to, they were in long queues, and with a situation at also, one officer was writing the names. And also, officials we spoke to, we spoke to them on condition of anonymity. And they sympathize with the people, but they said that there's little that they can do to salvage the situation, because this is what they've been given, and they're supposed to work within a certain frame, and they're supposed to register people within a certain period. And this is a case where they found themselves in this very dicey situation, and there's nothing that they can do about it. So these are the things that we found: the long queues, and only one officer registering them, and that's a bit of a difficulty. So
there were also allegations of extortion against some NIA personnel. What did you observe?
And so that has been the bit of a difficulty here, because most of the time they come to us, and we've had so many calls coming to us, and we've gone there, and they tell us that this was happening. There's issue of extortion, but the problem has been, they are all allegations and not as in substantial evidence. You ask them, did you go there? And they will tell you, yes, it was one of my friends who went there and he collected money and this and that. So these are being pockets of, as it were, allegations, but there hasn't been, solid proof of all these. So that's what we've been dealing with here. All of them have been issues of allegation. No one is bold to come out to tell us.
But we understand some of the applicants want more centers created despite the extension.
Yes, that has been the situation, because when we went to, of course, with the Ijai and also the Abuabo centers, when we went to those places, with the long queues, that's what they were expecting that they could do for them. They spend so many people there, and it's as if they will spend the whole day, the whole night, everything, and they will come early in the morning to join the queue, and that's very difficult for them. So that's what they are calling, that there should be extension, and also the number of centers should be expanded. They should expand it. That's their plea. That's their plea.
Well, that's my colleague Kwesi Deborah. They're monitoring the situation in the Ashanti region. Well, the executive director of the National Identification Authority, Professor Ken Atefua, was on the Super Morning Show today. Amongst others, he cited discrepancies in biographic data of registered applicants as a reason for the delays in issuing the ID cards.
When people go to register, they are required to provide consistent information. You could only be born one day. There are people who registered for the Ghana card during the President Mills' era and President Mahama's era. They used names or date of births that are different, some of them that are different from the names and date of birth that they are presenting to NIA in 2018, 2019, 2020. The system that we have designed is so robust, so sensitive as to, as it were, arrest and send into adjudication. To restrict your application, question it, and send it into adjudication. And that's the cause of the delay. That is one of the cause of delay. Those who have SNIT, date of birth at SNIT, and are seeking to reduce their age, become younger through the NIA process, the system arrests them and sends them into adjudication. Those who were Georgina Mansa but have now become Georgina Dazi and have gone through no legal process to change name and gazette it, and they present conflicting documentation, the system arrests them and sends them into adjudication. A third scenario is where your biometrics and your biography, your biometrics, fingerprints, your face, and all of that, and another person's are so identical, the system is suspicious. We have arrangements in place to ensure that every single Ghanaian who registered for the card, who presents honest, consistent information, will get their cards. Okay. Those whose cards go into adjudication, we will resolve those issues on a case-by-case basis, and we will have the cards given out to them.
Now, at some registration centers, the process was characterized by shortage of material, extortion, registration of foreigners in violation of the law, among others. Professor Ken Atefua blames this on the misconduct of his staff, describing some as corrupt.
We made all the requisite arrangements that should have assured a much easier, better experience for the people of Ghana living in that region. Unfortunately, the conduct of some of our staff has severely undermined public confidence in the activity that should otherwise have been a pleasant one. There have been many, not several, many instances across the region of some of our officers misconducting themselves. And I'm talking about its injury to public confidence and, of course, its impact on queue management because of a false sense of protocol, because of corrupt conduct that some of them have engaged in. We set up card issuance centers across the region, Greater Accra. Daniel, you will have one officer issuing only 2 cards per a whole month and yet pretending to go to work every single day. You send monitors around and the person is not there. You fire them. You need to train another batch of people, costing so much in order that the same work that they refuse to do would be done. And the cards are with them, and some of them are just not going to work to distribute the cards. Some of them are keeping the cards on them, contrary to instruction, calling the applicants, getting them to pay money by mobile money to them before going to issue the cards. All kinds of corrupt conduct by young Ghanaians. It's heartbreaking.
So that's the Executive Director of the National Identification Authority, Professor Ken Atefua. So here's why you still don't have your Ghana card. They're working on that to ensure that you get them. Let's do sports now. Benedict Owusu joins us in studio. Already there are concerns as to why Star Times is winning that bid, right?
Yes, of course, and it's coming from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, that's GBC, and the day after the Football Association announced that pay TV Star Times are the television right holders of the Ghana Premier League and the FA Cup. Now GBC has reacted to this. Now according to them, they are disappointed with the FA's decision to award Star Times the TV rights because they tabled a superior financial offer than Star Times. There is more in the following report.
The Ghana Broadcasting Corporation put in a bid which we are certain was superior to what the Star Times is said to have submitted. As published on the GFA website, Star Times offered to pay $5.25 million, which comes up to $1,050,000 annually, whilst GBC made a financial offer of $1,100,000 annually. It is for this and other reasons that we received the news with disappointment and shock. Apart from the GBC superior financial offer, we thought the Premier League and the FA Cup content would have been treated like a national treasure and given to the national broadcaster and a consortium of local broadcasters. GBC wishes to put on public record that the national broadcaster and the local TV consortium have been treated unfairly and unjustly. The GFA decision will gravely impact on Ghanaians' access to the Ghana Premier League and the FA Cup live games on free-to-air broadcast.
So, except of the statement released by the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation on Star Times, getting the TV rights for the Ghana Premier League as well as the FA Cup. So, I contacted the Football Association for a reaction, and what I was told was that they were going to release a statement to this effect. So, we are waiting for that statement. But of course, already reactions are coming through, and you have something to say.
Pouring in, but
you have something.
We'll wait for their statement. We'll wait for the.
All right, okay. So let's go through with it. And Grace Obuo, the ongoing Gusa Games, Grace Obuo of University Ghana beat Rafia Tunuhu of University of Education to the women's 400 meters title. Now Rafia is the Gusa Games record holder, 54.79 seconds over the event and defending champion, and it's Obuo's first Gusa Games, and she snatched the title from Rafia, and she actually broke the record and set a new one that's 53.07 seconds. Okay, so elsewhere, Harry Kane, Tottenham Hotspur striker, has been ruled out until April after the club said he needs surgery on a hamstring injury he picked up whilst playing for the side against Southampton on New Year's Day. Now, no time scale was originally given on the England captain's return, but Spurs now says specialists have advised surgery is required and he will return in training. Will be in April, 2 months before Euro 2020 begins. There's a big game tonight, the Super Copa semi-final between Barcelona and Atletico Madrid happening in Saudi Arabia. The winner of this game will come up against Real Madrid in the finals, which will be played on Sunday.
From sports, it's time now for Tech Thursday, and today we are focusing on apps that is making life comfortable for you so that you can shop from your home everywhere you are. Efwa Evans Chenry has more.
To use Shop Now, you only have to download on your phone. After going through the wizard, a home page opens and you get product categories from pharmaceutical and beauty products to food. You then click on any of the product categories and get a variety of shops you can get these products from. Order whatever you want from any of the shops of your choice and get it delivered to you with a click of a button. After placing your order, you can track your delivery on the map. Benjamin Osei Asante is founder and CEO of Shop Now.
When it comes to the customers, we provide real live tracking to the extent that you can virtually see that the guy bringing the item is at the next junction, has gotten to that blue kiosk and is just close to you.
Shop Now customers comprise buyers, sellers, and delivery partners with distinct applications that power them to interact with each other effectively on the platform. Shop Now has the seller app, customer app, and the delivery app. Apart from the free sign-up cost for sellers, they will also enjoy exclusive benefits such as no commission charge on the items sold, no marks up on prices, upfront payments to sellers on pickup, and a wider market reach.
So that's the Shop Up Now, and Efwa Evans Chinuy's report read to you. Now, towards the end of last year, and of course the New Year's Eve, and then even on the New Year during the watch night services, you may have heard some notable men of God prophesying victory for either President Akufo-Addo or John Mahama, I should say. Of course, this has become the new trend in each election year. But Chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Eric Kwabena Nyameche, wants an immediate end to such trend.
But you see, we have grown past this thing. This is mediocre. And we talk about the principles that God has set for us to walk in it so that there will be prosperity. Instead of just prophesying that this one will do this one will be that, it just breeds confusion. These ones are for babies. Pentecost, we have grown. We are more mature than just giving a prophecy as to who will win an election.
But as the chairman of the church, what do you make of all these political prophecies that has become the new trend in this country?
Yeah, we need to kind of advise them to desist from that. It causes more confusion than good. I think that we should kind of, if you like, let's put an end to it.
And the question remains whether we're hearing from God or it's our own inspiration. That's the chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Eric Kwabena Nyameche. And that's it for NewsNite. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. Thanks so much for your company. Enjoy the rest of the evening.